Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to our Dream Far podcast, where we talk about investment, business, real estate, and financial literacy. My name is Abdi Satufa. I'm going to be your host tonight. I'm with.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Dawood. I will also be your co-host.
Welcome. We'd love to have you in our podcast always. We'd love for you to join us and learn about financial literacy. We will try to focus and help our community achieve the financial literacy, the thing that they don't teach you at school.
Inshallah. And feel free to, put things in the comment section, things you want us to talk about. So that way we can, help the community. We have big Mr. MBA guy here. So he has a lot of knowledge that he can share with us, and inshallah. And we want to also just inspire and motivate people to, inshallah, to look for wealth, inshallah, so we can help our Muslim community.
Absolutely. Tonight, we will be talking about a little bit, share our experience. We recently helped one of the biggest imam in our community, Sheikh Manur from Abubakar Masjid. We'll talk about his experience and also our experience, the excitement helping him achieve their home ownership.
Inshallah. I just want to touch a little bit on Sheikh Ahmed Noor. Sheikh Ahmed Noor is the Imam of Abubakar Masjid. Abubakar Masjid is one of the most prominent masjids here in the Northwest. It's been established since 2009. And Sheikh Ahmed Noor is a big name. He's definitely a big name in the Somali community. I even had customers in the past that were hesitant on buying a home because Sheikh Ahmed Noor hasn't given a fatwa yet. And there's a reason why he chose guidance. There is so much other Islamic financing out there, but there is a specific reason why he chose guidance. Inshallah, we'll be able to get more into this.
I know Sheikh Ahmed since back 2016 and 17, and Sheikh Ahmed is always people approach him about, hey, this company called Guidance Residential and Islamic Financing. People reach out to him to get a personal fatwa. The Sheikh has been holding based on the Amja fatwa that came out back in 2015. He's aware of that because he's a member of Amja. However, he was stuck on 2 points. He asked me this question personally. Whenever we approached him, he always had this question. One is on maintenance. I'm just saying that guidance needs to pay for maintenance. Number 2 is for property tax. And we explained to him multiple times. If you remember last time, Abdul Wali was also talking about this on our last podcast. I think after 1 year research, they did their individual research for imams from 5 masjids.
I think this was longer than 1 year, brother.
More than that. I mean, I'm just summarizing. The last 1 year is after probably they decided, right?
Yeah.
Probably 2 years or 3 years.
Yeah, it was a lot of
Overall, if
time.
you look at it, since back 2016, 17, the discussion has been going on in the community. But we have a huge East African community buying home with guidance, following the Amja fatwa, and also getting blessing for Sheikh Ahmed. Because case by case, right?
Because not a lot of people know Amja, but when we say Sheikh Ahmed Noor,
but not only Sheikh Ahmed, by the way. See, about 5, if you remember, there was 5 imams from a local community here in Seattle. They came together and studied guidance, and then they actually approved guidance about a year ago. And since then, Sheikh Ahmed was seriously looking into buying a home, and he's been looking to buy a home. After 1 year of searching, also buying a home, it was not easy, even for Sheikh Ahmed. It took him about almost a year to find the right home.
I think even Sheikh Ahmed Noor, he mentioned in the video that buying a home is not easy. And I think he mentioned something about having a co-signer as well, and co-mortgage co-signer. So, when you're looking to buy a home, we're going to help you. Alhamdulillah, we've been in this industry for quite a while. We try our best. We try to pull every single string possible to make things work. And Abdisa was the one who helped Sheikh Ahmed Noor with the transaction. How was that process like from looking at Sheikh Ahmed Noor and getting to the closing? How was that whole experience like for you?
Well, as you also been involved in the transaction when we visited the Sheikh, you were involved, right?
Yeah.
So we had to get creative to qualify the Sheikh because his income, as you know, our imams, they don't get paid well, as unfortunately. They should be the most paid member of our community. They are leaders. We need to compensate them well. Unfortunately, his income was not sufficient to actually buy him home, let alone in this market. Even back in 2020.
By the way, sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you, but in this market to buy a home, even if your home is like, if your home is $600,000, you need about $10,000 monthly income with no liabilities. Is that correct?
Absolutely. It's
Yeah.
not to discourage
It's very
people.
hard.
It's just the fact because the home price has really gone up.
Yeah.
And with the current mortgage rate, your monthly payment is going to be higher. So for that reason, at least your liabilities, including the mortgage, has to be at least 50% of your income, or DTI, the debt to income ratio. It has to be below 50%. It just makes it difficult for someone by himself to qualify.
Yeah.
For that reason, most people who are buying home right now, they either need to buy with their partners, husband and wife, family members, father and son. Family members come home together and buy.
Mm-hmm.
The other option is where we get creative to help you, is to help you buy a home with a cosigner. If someone, a family member, a friend who's willing to help you get the financing, you can get that. That option is available. And that's what means by coming to the professionals and getting the right advice to help you qualify for home. Because if you're working with the right person, who the professional who knows what they're talking about, they can find a way to qualify you, to find a way to make it work for you.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, some of the things I want to talk about with the Sheikh is that he mentioned a little bit about the struggles about, you know, living in an apartment, right? He mentioned how it's difficult when someone lives below you, to the side of you, above you, and especially when you have 5 kids.
Yeah.
Right. He also mentioned, the Sheikh, that you sometimes with well, actually a lot of the times with apartments, you can't share how much occupants you have inside the house. So you have to actually sometimes lie. You know, I'm not saying the Sheikh lied at all. I'm not, please don't mistake my words. But you, in reality, a lot of apartments, you're not going to be able to rent the house or rent the apartment if you have more than the allowed number of occupants. And this is actually a state law. Isn't that correct?
That's correct.
This is actually a Washington state law. There's for renters, there's only a specific amount of people that can live in the house for, you know, for reasons that they may have.
I mean, as a tenant, you are required to disclose who will be residing in the property you rented. If you are putting 10 people in there, the landlord may not be interested. They don't want to have you as a tenant. In this scenario, you need to be lying on, you know, it's a lot more than that as well. Home ownership is not about just the luxury of having a bigger space. It's something that actually helps our community to create generational wealth. I think that's very important, because if you are renting, you don't own anything. You don't have equity. You are just utilizing the property, and when you leave the property, you have nothing to claim. So it's not just about living in a bigger house or providing a better life for your family, but also it's about creating wealth for your family. That's how I look at it, because instead of, you know, paying someone's mortgage, you should invest on yourself, buy your own home. That's one of the reasons. And also homeowners tend to contribute more to the masajid and Islamic school. This is an important, Sheikh Tabak talks about it as well. Yeah. That's why we always, you know, I mean, there's no denying it. Homeownership creates wealth and improve the community. That's a fact.
Exactly. And there's a lot of benefits when it comes to buying a home, you know, such as having, first, you have a peace of mind that you're not in, you have a peace of mind. Okay. There's a lot of benefits when it comes to owning a house. And the first house, a lot of people don't understand, is they always try to get that dream house to begin with. Yeah. This is just in general, right? Sometimes it's just about buying a property that can fit your needs, and then you can upgrade over time. With having a home, you have a lot of flexibility. Even if you feel like, hey, you know what, I don't like my mortgage, I don't want to pay this, you can actually go rent out an apartment and then rent out your home, right? Or you can, you know, you can do businesses outside of your house that you wouldn't be able to do if you are renting an apartment. That's true. And I know in our Somali community, we love doing daycare businesses or adult family. You have the ability to do this when you own a house. When you're renting, it could be a little bit more difficult. And as well as, let's say, you know, with the house, because homes increase about 10 to 15% every single year. And if you live in the house for 1 year, you don't like it, you can sell it and you get profit from being in that house. So when it comes to renting an apartment, there is no pro. It's just it's something that you utilize and you give back. You know, you don't get any benefit from it. You actually lose a lot of the money and you're stuck. You know, what's funny is that a lot of people mention, hey, what happens if we stop making payments on the mortgage? What happens? one, I always say, what happens if you start making payments in the apartment?
On the rent.
On the rent, what happens? Next thing you know, your furniture is outside.
Yes.
Right. So at least with the home, you know, if you start making payments, you sell the house, but you get a profit sometimes, depending on how long you've been in the house.
I mean, if you have that mindset that oh, what if I can't make a payment?
It's something that people put into their mind so they don't go forward with it. It's a fear factor. You know, I even had this one kid that said, hey, my mom said that we shouldn't buy a house just in case people come in and rob a house. When you're at least in an apartment, there's so much apartment. So what's the likelihood? People be thinking like this, man.
Well, that's why we do this program, to educate.
Yeah.
And obviously it's understandable. If someone never bought a home, they never lived in a house, they will have that fear factor. It's always there.
Because something new.
Something new in anything. If you don't know something, if you don't know about it, you'll be concerned. And it's normal. It's okay. It's just up to us to educate. And hopefully when they buy their first home, they understand the benefit they'll be missing out from it.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I think it's once you get to a point where you talk to your local loan officer, you know you can qualify, you have enough cash for not only just your down payment, right? Sometimes people just say, hey, I'm ready to buy a house. I have $50,000. Okay, but this may be, do you have enough money for also the closing cost? So the way you think about it is like, if you have a credit score that's like above a 700 or something, most likely you can qualify with about 5% down payment. So let's say a house is, let's say a house is what? Let's say a house is 600,000. 5% of 600,000 is 30,000. So you have 30,000, right? You can also think that you may need 2% of the closing cost as well. So this is about an extra 10,000 or so. So now there's 40,000. Then you also want to have at least some reserves just for your own self. So if you're at a point where you have $50,000-$60,000 saved up, would you say you're ready to buy a house, Abdisa?
Yeah, as long as you're ready for the commitment, it's mortgage. If you are getting into buying a house, you make sure that this is a responsibility. When you're also renting a house, it's a responsibility.
Yep.
It's the same thing.
Same commitment.
It's the same commitment.
It's no different.
Yes, exactly.
You have to go to work.
Well, you have to pay your lab. This is your responsibilities. You need to be responsible. But hey, I wanted to ask you, one of the reason that we do this podcast is to educate about the financial literacy and changing the mindset of the youth. I know that you grew up here, so if you remember the first day I met you, even it was you came to my seminar and asked me a question about investing in real estate.
Yeah,
I always wonder why you have a different mindset. Like, how do you really came up with having a different mindset of trying to learn about financial literacy, how to build your credit score, how to invest in real estate? You already questioning. You were young back then.
Yeah.
How do you come up with this kind of mindset?
I remember exactly. I remember when I came in, and then you were telling me, and I came in thinking I can just buy a house like I just buying a car. And then when you came into explaining all the stuff you need, I was like, damn, I'm really far off, But I mean, just for me, naturally, I just wanted to be always kind of successful. So that way I can achieve things. I knew from a very early age to have a good, prosperous life, you need money, even in our deen, if you want to go to Hajj, especially nowadays, you need money for it. If you want to give sadaqah to the people that are lower, you need money, and I realized as a Muslim, when you are someone who's wealthy, you can actually give so much back to your community, and you can help out with people who need help. So from there, I just wanted to try to find ways how I can be successful, for obviously for myself and for my family as well. So and alhamdulillah, I grew up around very driven friends. When you're around driven people, you become driven yourself, right? If you're around it, you become who your friends are. A lot of my friends today, some of them are either that I grew up with, some of them are working at some of them are working at Microsoft, some of them are doctors themselves. And so alhamdulillah, that's how I kind of had the drive. And then I always, as a kid, not a kid, like 19, 18 years old, I imagine when my mom is talking to them, I want my mom to also talk in a way that's also good, because sometimes your parents come and they have meetings with each other, I want my mom to speak good of me, So things like this, just small things like this, I use to motivate myself to continue trying to push.
Your friends who turned out to be Microsoft engineers.
Yes, Microsoft engineers.
Or doctors.
Yes, some of them became Microsoft engineers. Some of them became doctors. These are big shot guys that I grew up with, and you saw how I saw how hard they studied in school, what they became. So I was like, you know, I can't be the only guy who's not doing anything. So let me try to figure stuff out.
Be an African immigrant, you know, your parents want you to be obviously either a doctor or engineer. So the two things, if you're not that, you're not successful.
Exactly. And I knew with real estate, I used to also attend seminars. I remember this one guy said that all wealthy people, like 90% of wealthy people, all started with real estate, investing into real estate. Then I learned that wealthy people, a majority of them never made more than $100,000 a year. So immediately I knew, okay, hey, if I can get a good job, I can take care of my credit score. I try to keep things simple and easy for myself, so it seems attainable. Whenever you try to have a goal and it's a very hard goal, it can deter you. But if you make things easy, hey, if I can just get a good job, then after I can get a good job, I can keep my liabilities low, so that way I have more of my income, right? And then from my income, if I can just save a certain amount and then also invest a certain amount, then from there, you can continue growing, and then whatever skill that you're in, you can always continue expanding in your skill. If you're just
so let's say someone who's probably graduating from high school this year, and someone want to be like follow your path and maybe move into real estate. What would you say is the best path for them to at least start in real estate?
To start in real estate, that's a good question. So it depends. If they're living at their parents' house, this is good for you, so you don't have to worry about money. Because when you're coming into real estate, it's usually commission based. So you want to be in a situation where you don't have to worry about money, or you have another job or something relatively. And then from there, you connect with people like Abdisa or anyone that's around you that's also been in the market. You ask certain questions that can help you gear. But just like more than anything, the key thing is just start, go into it. You know, there's different avenues of real estate. Either you can become a loan officer, you can become a real estate agent, you can become title, you can work in closing, wherever it is. But if let's say you start in becoming an agent, you have a niche market, a market that you know you can market towards. It's easier than marketing towards the whole public. Then slowly you build in from there.
That's good. Well, you heard it from the expert himself. He's done it. So yeah, it's obviously if you ask me, I would definitely advise people to go to college.
Yeah.
And if someone asked me from high school, I wanted to go into real estate, I said, good. That's good. It's good to have passion for it first. But I always recommend someone going to college, at least get some kind of degree or at least some skill that can be transferred into a job.
I think the key important thing is that you want to know what you're doing, you know?
Yeah.
A lot of people sometimes they go to college just to go to college, and then you think of student loans, they get a job and it's hard to even pay back their loans.
Well, it depends on what you're studying though.
Exactly.
Because that's why I say like get some kind of skill that can be transferred into a job market. When you come out, you have a skill in demand. You don't want to study that or probably like English degree, or I don't know, I'm not trying to I'm not saying one degree is better than the other, but there are some degrees that pays well. If you could at least, because at the end of the day you need to earn some money to invest. If you have no earning, what are you going to invest?
So would you say it's better to like start with a job before you get into real estate, or do you think it's better to start working in real estate? You know, how does a young person kind of
I think it's always best to start, because if you want to be successful in life, this is what I believe. You have to know how to work for someone else. You need to work for someone else so that you can work for yourself, because always you get that experience. It's good to have that experience working for someone. You learn, being on time, taking responsibilities, taking care of a task. That's an experience. You need that.
Discipline as well.
Discipline. Yeah, exactly. So for that reason, it's always better to start somewhere, at least earn some money so you can invest that money. You can grow slowly.
Yeah.
You can't just overnight and come into real estate and it's not easy. Real estate actually,
it's not easy.
It's one of the most difficult business.
Yeah.
Probably after a restaurant.
You have to have some thick skin.
After a restaurant, I think real estate business is the most difficult.
Because the thing with real estate is when you're working here, you see the commission so close to you, and then immediately it's away.
Yes.
How do you deal with this? Are you able to get back up, or are you going to just lay in your bed and be devastated, because what is it in the first year? 90% of people in real estate, they don't make it. 95%, they don't make it.
Yeah, it's tough business. I mean, it's easy to get into, but also quick exit.
Yeah. And what makes that 5% successful is because they were able to somehow place a cushion in it where they're able to do something and sustain it. You know, it's hard to continue a business when you're worried about money. Any business that you're into doing it, if you're doing it and you're so worried about money, every single paycheck, it's not gonna last for you.
Yeah, it's a hustle. It's difficult. I mean, it's difficult for you to build a brand first because you need to. It's about branding. Once you build a brand, it might be easier because most people, most business come through referral. But if you don't have that brand, it takes time to build it. Until then, you need to. I always recommend having some other job first. At least that pays you bill, and then if this is your passion, you can pursue your passion for long term.
Yeah,
it's not overnight. You're not going to be probably the first year you may not even have a closing. The second year, the third year, then it's going to be easier. Just like any business.
The way I kind of think of it is like as if you're shouting over a rooftop, you know, like into like a valley where there's a bunch of people and you're on a rooftop and you're yelling, telling people to come to you for business, you know. How long can you continue doing that yelling? What I mean by this is your marketing. How long can you continue marketing and be loud without, like you said, any business coming to you? That's true. You know, because people want to see you, you know, even when people give you leads that are in the industry, oh, it's a rookie, it's a new person. I had to deal with this a lot of the times, you know, where when I first came in, you know, agents didn't want to give me leads because they didn't realize, they're like, as a new loan officer, I'm not sure. So you have to continue fighting, continue proving yourself.
You have to disprove people.
Yeah, because in the beginning, there's no such thing as referral business. Who's going to refer you? They don't know you, you know?
It's true. I mean, as a loan officer, you get your business from realtor partners. The realtor partners, they already have a loan officer they work with. Why would they come to you?
Yeah, I think the key will help me as a loan officer was probably like cold calls and social media, but mainly cold calls, dude. I was pumping out like 20 to 30 cold calls. Hey, Assalamu alaikum. I had a whole full-blown script. Assalamu alaikum. My name is Dawood Ibrahim. I'm seeing that you haven't bought a house. Or you're in our system. What's going on? Are you looking to buy anytime soon? Yeah. Hell is the line for it. It's like they call it an elevator pitch. You ever heard of that before?
Yes. Cold calling is the hardest thing, man. The hardest thing to do.
It is.
But also, if you're really expert in it, that's the way you go fishing. It's easier because a lot of people don't like to do it. If you actually could do it, that's where you can, especially in real estate and industry. It's a good skill to have.
Yeah. What would your advice be? It's kind of similar question to what you asked me. What would your advice be to someone who's a real estate agent in this current day market, with as difficult as it is? Because times are always different from any other times. I think now is a difficult time for loan officers and agents. What would your advice be to them?
It's been difficult in the past as well, because this industry it has ups and downs. We had a good 3 years in 2020, 21, 2022. Now we're getting struggled a little bit. But if someone can weather this and stay in the industry, don't leave the industry and stay in the industry, we will see good years coming in a few years. So it happened back in 2008. A lot of people left the industry. Those people who stay in the industry, the wave came up, and the wave to come up, they went with the industry. So it's the same thing. And we're getting that cycle. The rate went up. The home price went up. Right now, we don't have a lot of the volume went down because no one's buying, no one's selling. There's no transaction, but the transaction is going to come back. So,
I mean, honestly speaking, can you see the rates going down? Like, what would it? Because the reason why the rates are high up right now is due to inflation. So the only way that theoretically they will put the rates down is if the inflation's come down.
Canada, actually, the first G7 country actually to cut the rates. Just 2 days ago, they cut the rate in Canada for the first time. So it's an indication that eventually it's coming up in the US as well. Obviously, Canada is very small, so the impact on the US is not much, but it's just an indication.
Yeah,
the rate cut is actually, everybody knows the rate's going to go down.
Do you know what's interesting? Sorry, go ahead, continue.
No, it's okay.
I was going to say, the rates coming down for people, I'm sorry to disencourage you guys, but that doesn't mean it's a good thing, Yeah. It means that there's going to be more people back in the market. And we saw what happened.
From real estate
perspective. That's true. That's true.
If you are in the real estate industry,
that's true.
It has impacted the real estate industry because there's not a lot of transactions that stagnated the market.
Yeah, there's
not a lot of buying and selling. Not only buying side, by the way, sellers also got locked in.
They're locked into their house.
Golden lock. I mean, it's a good thing. The fact they have actually a good equity in the house, but they're locked because of that equity and the monthly payment is very low. If they sell, they end up getting into higher mortgage. Because if you, let's say you own a home, that home appreciated in value, which is good for you. However, you'll get paying probably 2% or 3% rate. Now, if you sell that home, get your equity, you're going to end up getting into 7% or 6 point something rate. So that also bad for the sellers, by the way. It's that's one of the reasons actually we don't have as much supply as we used to have in the market, because not a lot of people are motivated to sell, right? So if the rate goes down, those people who have been holding back, they want to upgrade, they want to move, they will put that on home in the market. It's going to increase the supply as well. So there's a, there's, even though as much as we say that more buyers are going to come as well, also more homes are going to come on the market, which means more transaction. More transaction means more commission for real estate agents. That's how I'm looking at it. Does that make sense? But from the buyer's perspective, it's totally different, right? Buyers, the best thing to do, well, as always, the best thing to buy a home was 50 years ago, right? When homes were like 200,000, 100,000.
I know, man.
The next best time to buy a home is today.
Yeah.
Tomorrow is not going to be better. Today is better than tomorrow, because the home price is going to continue to go up. It's not going to go down.
And buy any home. I mean, obviously not any home, but like homes that you can sustainable, you can live in, and something that's decent for your family, and then you can upgrade. It's easier to upgrade than to get into a market where the home prices are a lot higher.
Yeah, just compared to last year and this year, the home price in Washington state actually went up by 9.1%. Just from last year to this year. The median price went up to 650,000 from last year to this year. So this is a very common thing.
So if you're making $100,000 a year, this is lower class, is that right?
650 is the median income.
No, I'm saying if you're making, if you're someone who makes 100,000 a year, 6 figures, this is not. Is this even middle class? Is $100,000 a year today middle class?
It depends. In Washington, not really. According to Freddie Mac and Fannie Mae,
gotta hustle, man.
The median income in Washington state is $139,000. If you're making $100,000, you're not making money. You're actually below the median. Because you need to look at the cost of living right now. To rent a decent home for your family is $4,000. Annually that's $36,000. Probably that's what, 1/3 of your income going to the rent. Then you have other expenses.
Yep.
I mean, if you have $100,000 in Louisiana, that's a good income.
That's a good income, yeah.
Not in Washington.
Yeah, not in Washington. Actually, I want to say maybe like, let's say Pierce County, or Thurston County. That's not like, you find home prices for 500,000.
The 650,000 median income in Washington, not King County. King County is actually $830,000.
How about Thurston County?
I'm not median income, median price, home price.
Yeah.
Median. When we say median, it means.
Oh, you're including Thurston County and Pierce County.
Washington State. Like Olympia all the way down, like the whole Washington.
Yeah.
Is 650,000. King County is 850,000, around there. The median price.
So with this expensive high median price, brother, what is the solution? For someone who's looking to buy a home, what is the solution?
The solution is just to buy as soon as you can buy. As soon as you get financed.
Let's say if you're making $60,000 a year.
Well, find another family member who makes 60,000 so you can combine and buy.
Bingo.
So, absolutely. I mean, you're already living together. Why don't you get a mortgage together and buy a home together?
So what is the steps? Like, how can someone who's making $60,000 a year, but alhamdulillah, they have someone who's living in their house is also making $60,000 a year, and maybe someone else who's making $40,000 a year. That's
160,000.
That's 160,000. So now we're talking. Now we're talking. Yeah. What is it that they all need in line so that way they can buy a home?
So first thing, obviously, to buy a home together as a family, you need to reside in the same house. You need to have the same address currently, right?
Is that always?
It's a requirement, unless you have to provide an explanation. But it's not a requirement. It's not a must.
To make things easy for us, basically.
Yes, make life.
But don't worry, if you have someone living out, we'll figure that out for you.
As long as you're a family member and you have a commitment to live together.
Yeah.
And also the house should be sufficient. Like let's say if you're 2 people buying home, you have 5 kids, I have 5 kids, we can't put them in a 4-bedroom house. May not make sense, right? However, let's say you don't have kids, I have kids. We can buy a home together as long as we're brothers. Because people do that. It's very common. So the key thing first, you have to be somehow related. It's very good to be related. And then you can combine your income to qualify for a bigger house. Let's say if you're looking to buy $700,000 home, currently you live in a 3-bedroom apartment or 2-bedroom apartment. So if your kids are working, they're in college, maybe they're working part-time, add their income. And mom and dad's income together, maybe 150, 160. Now you could talk. Now you can buy a home. We're talking, right? You can buy a home for 700,000. Other thing is, of course, you can also put more money down. The higher the money down payment, the better the better chance to qualify to buy a home.
Okay.
Yeah.
So